Hi, how are you doing? So, Champagne, I'd like to welcome you. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. The only thing I do ask is that you don't type your question into the chat. I do have a particular way of 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 working with the experience here, and um, So let me know when you're ready, and then we can go ahead and try um, doing a reading for you. It's my little happy dog. Having one of those days. So let's see here. Oop. Getting something from the angel deck here. Let's see what your card of the day is, Champagne. All right. I know you haven't asked your question, but I'm just kind of pulling a quick card to see, what the universe has to say for you. Oh, the Magician. So, the Magician, the story behind that is that you have a figure here where he is the major arcana card. And one thing about this guy is that he is, a creator in the storyline. And with the creator, he points to the heaven and the earth. Now with the angel deck, I know this is not the Raider weight deck, but to kind of give you a better example here of what I'm talking about. Let's see here. It's not coming up my image. But in general, what the Magician card is about is that he's pointing to the sky, which is either known as the heaven or the universe, and he's also pointing down to the ground. And this means that he is utilizing both forces of the earth and the universe to create the one thing that's impossible for us as humans to create, and that is the single thought of what you need in order to start your project, because the project hasn't even been created yet. So that's what the Magician is all about, and he's also the creator of all the elements within the tarot deck, either earth, wind, fire, and water, or swords, pentacles, cups, and wands. So something's telling me here that at least with this card, the Magician, there's something creative happening here for you today. Either you felt pretty creative or you are a creative person. I don't have a whole lot of other cards pulled out just yet to kind of figure out what exactly this is, because it's more like, to me, this is like the subject of what's going to be talked about, right? So let's go ahead and get a couple more cards here and let's see what it's all about. This is just a daily spread, actually, not really kind of focusing on your question unless you are sending vibes of your question to me, which is great. So let's see what you have to offer. And I do want to get my, let's see here. Let me see if I can try to get my app started, because I definitely would like to share this image. So give me one split second. Ah, there we go. So that's what the card looks like up in front. So I'm not sure if you're still with me, Champagne, but hopefully you are. So let's see here. I'm gonna have to pull up the YouTube channel on my phone. That way I can make sure that I'm streaming. Okay, yeah, so we're looking pretty good here. So let's see what else we got going on here for you, Champagne. So I'm gonna cut the deck here. So first of all, we have the Nine of Air. So that card is let's see here. Where is that one? So I want to make sure I got the right one here because I want to be able to show it to you. There we go. So the Nine of Air, what that one's all about is that what that card's all about, the story behind it at least, is that just as the description says, you're probably having some sleepless nights, or at least that's what the card talks about. It talks about having some bad dreams, that you're having a lot of fears, and because of these fears, you wake up at night and you're not able to sleep. And that's kind of the picture of the horses that you have here. This is in resemblance to the swords, right? And we have this picture here, and that's kind of what it's in resemblance to. And we see here the person is, sitting upright and putting his hands up to his face because he's really, really sad at what he's just witnessed. And with it reversed, it could mean that you are experiencing some fear. It really all depends on the intuition, which I haven't looked in just to yet of what the universe is trying to communicate. I just kind of want to let you know what the story is behind these pictures here. And then you also have the King of Earth. Now, the Earth is resemblance to the Pentacles. The Pentacles is like our earthly here we go. The Pentacles is our earthly possessions, right? It's about like either jobs, money, whatever the case may be, but it's like all earthly possessions. And the thing about the King of Pentacles, that we see him here in this picture, that we see him holding on to the pentacles very lightly, and and we see it, all these fruitfulness around him, like his robes full of like fruits, and there's life all around him. He has a huge castle in the background. He also has the bulls, assuming power and fire, passion, and things like that. So but with the whole symbol behind the King of Pentacles is that he practically has everything that he wants. It's not like where it's like the Ten of Pentacles where you've worked to obtain everything you want. The King of Pentacles is pretty much saying that you have everything. Everything's there. You're stable. You're secure. You have great leadership, at least with your money or whatever the object of the earthly object that you're working on. Now, with it reversed, this could also mean like sometimes the reverse, with the, depending on the intuition of the reading, that maybe you feel like you don't have everything, even though it might already be there in front of you. Because we have these two together. We have air and we have earth. Now, these two cards right here, the air and the earth, are not really friendly cards to each other, because if you think about it, it's like a storm blowing through the wind. Now, if it was reversed, where earth and then air, it's like earth is creating the air, and that would actually be a little more compatible. But in this case, you have the air kind of rustling the leaves on those earthly objects like trees and things like that. And to me, this is kind of communicating that, at least with this road that I just drew, that there might be some type of fear of emptiness. Like maybe you're longing for something, and that's probably what the whole Magician card's about. It's like you have a task in front of you in terms of creating something that you're going to need, right? But in order to create this, right, and to find out why you're missing things, we have to look at things at a different perspective, and that's what the whole that's what the awakening card here, the number 12, is about. So the thing about the let's see here. Here we go. And that's what that card's in reference to, the Hanged Man. And the story behind him is that he's looking at things in perspective, and a different perspective. And with that said, he is, kind of doing this willfully on his own, and not really by force of somebody else, like a punishment, but it's more like he wants to do this to himself. And then we see that his legs, like almost like in a number 4, pointing in a different direction, or at least with his foot pointing in the forward direction. But it's like a representative of a upside down 4. So with the upside down 4, we have stability. He wants to have this stability, and then you have this halo around his head, which kind of, it's just kind of showing enlightenment, that he, knowledge that he's willing to learn. So, and we also see it here that he's hanged from this tree full of leaves and stuff like that. So it's nothing bad or punishing with this image either. So that's what the whole thing about with the awakening card. Now, this is kind of what my intuition is saying, and I'm feeling some energy coming up to like my fingertips, that maybe you're type of person that likes to work with your hands, and maybe kind of indicating that maybe you're kind of a hard worker, that you're really, really skillful. Now, it seems like what the cards are saying here is that, at least today, you're trying to, maybe get some things done. You're trying to find out exactly what do you need. What is it that you need to accomplish? And that's kind of what the magician is all about too. The magician is going to create that idea for you, and then you kind of like going to assess your situation, saying that, yeah, what is it that I'm missing in my life? Especially the fact that we're coming towards the end of the year. A lot of people are going to kind of think about that. Like, what is it that this year has brought to me that I didn't really get to complete? And, that could be a very scary thought. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here, at least with the Nine of Air and the King of Earth. You are definitely having some fears, nothing sleepless nights, but, and not really too much fear, but it's definitely something very, that puts you into caution, really bringing the attention to it, right? And then you have the King of Earth. So I believe this is what the universe is trying to tell you, that, that at least with today, this is like your daily card reading, that, you're facing some things that, we're coming to the end of the year, and you probably want to plan out the rest of your year. And it's going to be kind of hard to plan out your rest of your year. It's going to take about maybe, it could take months, even a whole lifetime, to figure out what you want to do. But at least, you can find out the starting point, because like the starting point, number 1, that's sort of like the ace in most suits. You have to figure out the starting point of your of what you're needing to do for the next 2019. So that's what this is all about. At least this is what I'm kind of getting from this. And once you actually do get this new image of your life right here, and then you're able to create the idea, this will actually kind of fall into place here. You'll get some stability and things like that. And this is kind of why I also have 4 cards drawn here. We have the starting point and then the 3, because 4 actually stands for stability, and that's something I definitely like to see you have, is some type of stability with the new year coming around. So let's also take a look at your no, not calendar, calculator. And I'm going to, let's see here, basic, there we go. So I'm going to switch this view here on this app to my calculator. And we're going to add up these cards, and we're going to use numerology to actually add up these cards. So first we have the 1, right? That's 1, and we have 9, so plus 9 equals 10, and then 1 plus 0 is obviously 1. And then we have the king, which is number 14, in the deck. So we have 10, page, uh, knight, queen, king. Yep, that's 14. So plus 5, because 1 plus 4 and number 14 is 5. Then 5 plus 1 equals 6. And then we have the Awakening card, which is also known as the Hangman, which is number 12. And then 1 plus 2 is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So your daily number is 9. And there is a... so the thing with 9 in tarot... Let's see here. Let me pull up the webpage for that, actually, for you. Tarot. Yeah, so I'm going to send you this link here in the chat about this number here. And in small, very, very short, number 9 can suggest, and usually it means like you're coming to a completion with something. It can mean, you know, there's work to be done, but there's something's coming to a completion, but there's still work that needs to be done. And it can also mean that it is completed, and number 10 actually means it's like a new beginning. That's how some people view it. So it's kind of fun having the number 9, because especially the fact that we're at a new year coming up soon on Monday. 9 is almost like coming to a completion. And it's kind of funny we're saying that, or coming to a completion, because again, we have this here talking about you getting this new idea about your life, right? The goals that you want to do in your life, and you need to have this idea to create things, right, for the new year. So whatever kind of issue that you're having here, where you're having some real awareness, somewhat of a fear and caution about the things that you don't have, the things that you want, you're going to have to come to that level of 9 where figure out those things that you need, see it in a different perspective on how you can obtain it, or see it in a different perspective if you already have it too. Because sometimes with the king reversed on the earth is that you are so I'm like, you have it, it's there for you, you do have it, but you may not even know that's there. So that's what these cards are about. That's what this deck is actually about for you, at least for your daily deck. Now, I haven't seen you chat. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. Although it's been fun for actually having me read this for you. But if you do want to have a particular question answered, just let me know you're still with me in the chat, and if you're ready to proceed forward, I do have a process in terms of how we can start the reading on the question that you actually have. Champagne, are you still there with me? Testing. Testing. Hello, Mariana. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by no. Oh, no sound. Oh. Can you hear me now? Ah, that's good. Good, good, good. How are you doing today, Mariana? Yeah, I wasn't actually saying anything because nobody was in my chat, and you are the first one of the day. Well, sort of second, but Champagne wasn't responding earlier. But you are the first one today. Yay! And this is just my spread I was doing with myself today. All right, how are you doing? I'm actually doing pretty well, thank you. Just trying to balance out some energy. I got my black obsidian to kind of help me ground it and repel some negative energy, which is good, and my my amethyst stone. So I'm doing pretty well actually. Thank you. So I take it you're here. You like to have a reading. So I definitely like to welcome you. Um, so let me go ahead and pull up my Google chat here to make sure that I'm able to see if anybody else comes in. All right, we're good. Okay, so I don't like, or it's not like I don't like. I just prefer to have um, my querents to not ask me the question. And the reason why I do that because I don't want to be biased, or at least come across as biased towards the reading because you already given me a compass, right? Like for example, you say, oh, um, will I ever find a friend or things like that. Hi Paloma, welcome back. And um so yeah, I like to work for my stuff. I'm a hard worker and I like to trust in the universe and communicating to me. So this is what we're going to do. You're just going to listen to what I have to say, and then we're going to have the universe kind of help. uh okay, so this is something I want you to do. I just want to listen to my voice, and at any time during the reading, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm in the wrong direction or if it doesn't make any sense. Because one thing I actually heard in a podcast recently, at a TED talk, is that we're all learning. How can we become creative if we don't learn from our mistakes, right? And especially if we're older, we tried not to make mistakes, then we kind of lose that creativity. So that's kind of why I'm so open, and this is very vulnerable, especially because I'm trying to figure out what your question is. So, okay, enough talk of that. Breathe in, breathe out. And I want you to close your eyes for a second. You're going to visualize yourself. You're at this beautiful, beautiful lake. The lake is super still. It's like a gigantic mirror and it's reflecting all the images around it: trees, life, maybe some mountains, even the beautiful, beautiful blue sky, right? Now, that lake represents the universe. I want you to then look into your hand. In your hand is a stone. That stone represents the question or the thing that you need clarification on. Throw that stone into the water, and you're going to see those ripples now created into that beautiful reflection. The ripples are flowing out. That's the ripples, the energy from the universe, where your question is being communicated by the universe to me, and I shall now receive that. Okay. All right. So let's see what kind of which cards we're gonna have to use here. Ooh, this one immediately. Okay. Now the one of the things I have with in regards to these two card decks, I have an angel card deck, which is usually about like, I guess, more like emotional states and things like that. While the Raider White deck, which is the traditional one, it's more like realistic matters and things like that, which is kind of cool. I noticed that when it came to this Raider White deck, that it's brutally honest. I mean, even with the angel cards, it's brutally honest too. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle these cards here. You know, because in order for us to have some order, we need to add some chaos. And by doing that, I shuffle the cards. All right, Mariana. I'm feeling the ripples come to me right now. I felt you throw that stone in. It was a nice, good throw. I felt like it went straight into the middle of that pond, which is perfect. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this in the middle. Oh, cut it right there. Okay. Okay. So, we got these three first cards here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over to this just to kind of help explain some things of what I'm seeing here. So first off, we have the Knight of Cups. Now the Knight of Cups, I like to kind of explain some things about the story behind these. That way we can kind of get a better an idea of, you know, what we're talking about here. Now the Knight of Cups is very respectful. The story behind that is, as we see here, we see the knight kind of just, you know, presenting this cup, and the cups kind of, you know, represents our emotions, our desires, um, even personalities and relationships and things like that. And sometimes it can also be a little overwhelming, but it's also in relation to the water as well. We see the horse just kind of about to kind of step forward, and we know this because we see the first hoof kind of lifting up while the back hoof is also lifting up as well. So he's about to step forward. It just hasn't started yet because he's kind of presenting this. We also see a lot of color blue in here. That's a lot about emotions, and we see the water flowing in front of it. That's another emotion as well. So it's like the lake of emotions flowing forward. The knight is usually about action. He's about to take action. He's a very noble person, and he's also very trustworthy, and he likes to get things done because, you know, in medieval times the knight likes to, or not likes to, he's bound uh, by by Cree that he needs to follow his king. So sort of like presenting the Holy Grail in a way, if we kind of look at it. Then we have the Fool's card. Now the Fool's card, let's see here. Here we go. So the Fool's card, oh, excuse me, that's not the Fool's, that's the Hangman. But the Fool's card is not how like the name suggests, you know, being a fool or stuff like that, but it's more like a carefree, kind of like taking a leap of faith. We have the dog there kind of like going, and it's a white dog especially, so this kind of signifies like, you know, an like a innocence, right? And he's also holding a flower of innocence, and we also see his shirt, you know, kind of like in these type of floral garments. So, and there's like a kind of a flow with the wind of that garment, and he's holding his, you know, a sack on his shoulder. So it's sort of like communicating that, you know, he's got everything that he needs on, you know, he's pretty much got his house on his back, and he's about to take off, you know, off the side of this cliff because he's following his dreams in a way. You know, that's kind of, they call it the fool's card because he's walking off the cliff there, even though with the dog, you know, trying to warn him. But it's really about, you know, taking a leap of faith in terms of what you believe in. Now with it being reversed, sometimes this can mean that you're not able to follow your dreams, but it really kind of depends on the intuition as we further look into this reading. And then we have the Emperor. The Emperor in general is about um, like stability, a father figure. We're talking about, you know, a person who's leading a nation, you know, or his kingdom, stuff like that. And there's ups and downs to that. You know, with the emperor, you know, there could also be some stubbornness to it, and things like that. Maybe, you know, usually like the king's like bored and he just wants things to come to him, you know, and usually the people do his bidding, kind of thing, right? And people work hard for him even though he's not happy. So what I'm kind of seeing here, at least this first part right here, you know, we're probably dealing with a little bit on an emotional part of things because we were first starting off with this one. But we're going to draw a couple more cards here to kind of figure out what the universe is trying to communicate here. This may kind of lead to something about like how you have like this type of desire of something, but this type of emotion, you're not able to follow it, and maybe you kind of want it now, or that you feel that there's probably no stability into it. So let's see here. I'm gonna cut this deck one more time. We got some more cards here. Okay, so we have here the Sun card. Um, the Sun card is really about, like, being vulnerable and living, like, almost kind of like having a happiness of a child, adolescence, right? Usually this kind of symbolized, because you have the sun, sunflowers, a naked child riding on a horse, and usually that's the vulnerability along with the child being happy. Um, we have, this being like super happiness, but with it reversed, it can also mean maybe you're not, maybe you're not getting fulfillment. Maybe um, that child spark within you is probably kind of like at a neutral space, or maybe you're not adding enough energy to that emotion, right? And then we have the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is about being stable, but so stable that you're not really doing much with it. Like, we see him holding crap, like really like grasping on with, like, with the force of 1,000 suns. Like, that's like my saying. Like, he's not letting go. Like, he's so stable. Like, he has all these things behind him, right? We see him like on a ledge here, and it's kind of risen up, so it's sort of like, maybe he's, he kind of owns this land or something like that. But his feet are stomping onto the pentacles. He has one on his hands, and then he's bouncing the other one on his head, to kind of symbolize that money's on his mind, or whatever that object is, because pentacles is really about the earthly possessions. It could be money, work, or just some sort of materialistic thing, or earth-based material thing kind of thing, not materialistic. But maybe there's something going on here in terms of, you're feeling stable, because four is about stability, right? You need four walls to create a house. But there's something stable about you, but maybe you're kind of fearing about utilizing those assets that you have. And that kind of, we have here the Queen of Pentacles, which is kind of interesting, because the Queen of Pentacles, if we actually have this upright, I'll show you an example of that. Queen of Pentacles. There you are. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, and we notice she's reversed in this one, but it's kind of upright to kind of give you a better example. You see her kind of like nurturing this item, right? Again, money or work or things like that, and that's what the Queen is about: compassion, thoughts, feelings of emotion, and connectivity, for that matter, and also some healing as well, and forgiveness. Um, and that's kind of what the Queen is all about. We see like the water kind of like behind her with those blue mountains. So there's a lot of emotion, like mountains of emotion involving the Queen. Um, but the thing is, now it's reversed. There could be something to where maybe it's, maybe you're not as nurturing to your money as you want to be, which kind of does go in hand with the Four of Pentacles here, because if you were probably nurturing to this, then you probably would have been a little bit more free to utilize these assets to kind of do what you want. Now, what I'm reading here, I have a feeling here that, especially with the New Year's coming around, I'm trying to let my intuition speak to me. And let me just kind of grab a couple more cards just to make sure that I'm communicating this right. But it sounds to me that you're in this place in your life right now. It's probably come to fruition, especially with the fact that your feelings are pretty strong with this one, but you're kind of moving forward, but you're not, because of the fact that um, you're not getting some things done. You feel that there's no you feel that there's no like rock in your place, and really it's kind of like, it's making you kind of sad in a way, like it's kind of like diminishing that childlike flame. Absolutely, Paloma. Just go ahead and put your name in the list. There's a link in the description. That way I can keep the names organized as people come in. But definitely I'll have you in for a reading, Paloma. Um, let's see here. So yeah, whatever this issue is happening here, it's really like it's really causing like a type of, it's like you were probably earlier in your life, or at least earlier in your year, you're probably feeling like, yeah, things were going my way. You're probably, having a time of your life, going on trips and things like that, and you're feeling really good. But now at this end of this year, something is kind of turning this around, where you're kind of like coming to a realization. That's why these things are kind of reversed, and then you're kind of like getting clingy at the very end. So I think your question here is about, how, how is your, I think it's going to be like, how is your future is going to be like when, especially with this new year coming around, how is your finances going to be, or what can you do about your finances, and let me know if I'm on the right track here, Mariana, because I feel like that, I, according to the cards here, it seems like you're looking for clarity. um, you're probably going through a situation right now. I'm seeing here you have the Three of Swords, which is usually about pain and sorrow. That's kind of usually what it means. Like you're probably going through a difficult time. Um, you do have the Knight of Wands, but you do have the Wheel of Fortune, and I think it's, with this right here. Again, this kind of goes in hand with this child. This Sun card being upside down. There's like a sadness here. There's definite sadness here, and I mean, sadness is probably a really heavy word, but it's definitely very uncomfortable. You want to have like this child life back, right? Like this adolescent, funness. Love mostly, yeah, but finances, um oops, yeah, so like, good. And we can definitely take a look at the love part as well in just a little bit to see how that fits in, because I think, especially with the emotions here, because again, that's about, relationships and things like that. Like whatever's going on here, it's flipping these things around. And now that you mentioned it, because we also have here this Knight of Wands, right? The Knight of Wands is about like your passions, and you really actually do take forward on your passion. Like you see them and you try to go with them. um let's see here, because with the wands here, wands is representative of fire. We see him here with, a fire like helmet. We have the gecko on his garments there, which is another symbol of fire, right? And then we see the horse like more like he's really like, kind of galloping, like galloping forward, exactly, right? um I think that, even with the emotional state of what these things are going for, like you're still holding on to your passion, which I think is really good. Like you're not letting go of that, and I'm pretty sure you're struggling, but it probably has caused um some problems within your journey, because we again have here the Wheel of Fortune, which is upside down. Now this doesn't really necessarily mean bad luck, but I guess it's more like luck hasn't been on your side. Hence why you have the Queen of Pentacles upside down, the Fool, and the Emperor. Um, so seeing that I'm on the right track here, Ariana, which I think is really good, and I'm glad. Let's take a look some more here. And actually, you know what? I just want to kind of answer my question here. I just want to see if you are still in this relationship. We have 21, Page of Fire, which is 12, 10, 11, and 8. So two odd numbers usually says, means like, maybe no. So it's not really telling me that you are not in a relationship, but I think maybe with that card, especially with all this is going on right here, you're probably thinking about leaving the relationship. um it's kind of funny because you did say that you want to kind of query about your love, but it's funny how I just asked about, how, if this relationship is still continuing, and I apologize if I'm hitting, close to home here. But let's see here. We have Knight of Swords, the Hermit, the Chariot. So okay, I did mention with this wands here, the wands card, the Knight of Wands, that you'd like to take on to your passion, and this chariot kind of, facilitates this. I think this next spread right here, this is kind of more communicating about the person you are. um Oh, you're not in the relationship. Okay, so it already has ended. And that's understandable. You know, those are life expectancies, and that kind of expect you know kind of goes in hand with the hermit here. But first off, we have the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is really about like this. Excuse me. The sword in general is like the communication of things. It could represent also um, it could also represent like creativity, or even that pain. You know, like let me come up with a better picture here for you of our Knight of Swords. Here we go. So, um, we see him here. Like we have the horse literally challenging, charging forward with him with his sword upright. But we know this is about more about creativity, or like not really about communicate creativity, but like communication or the ways you're creatively speaking. Because we have here, like the clouds in the background, and you have a lot of birds in the background too. That's like to me, birds are like a symbol of creativity. You know, they build their nests and things like that out of nature, which is really amazing. But then we also see like the wind, like the trees are blowing in one direction, right? And he's going against that direction. So no matter what is going on, he charges forward. Now this is actually in reverse. So is this kind of telling me that it is kind of hard to kind of to proceed forward with those passions. Like you have the chariot here and you have this passion here, but you do work really hard, and it's definitely a struggle, right? And we definitely go through those things, and it's, as a tarot reader, it's probably easy to say, oh yeah, you're definitely struggling things, but I just feel that in my intuition that you have a path, and I think you already know what your path is, and it is kind of a good one too. It's going to be a struggle. Now, you do have the hermit. Now, the hermit is an interesting one, and I kind of associate myself with the hermit, especially with me on a spiritual journey. Um, let's see here, Major Arcana and the hermit. So the thing about this guy, and I actually closely relate to him because I am on a spiritual journey, and one thing about spiritual journeys is that you need to kind of spend time alone sometimes, right? Like you probably like just kind of sit yourself in a room and just kind of like, close out the world around you because you need to hear yourself. He's holding a lamp with a star in it. That star symbolizes the knowledge and the spirituality that he seeks. He's standing on the top of a mountaintop, and usually when we think about like the Mayan temples, the pyramids, like what archaeologists say about that they build these structures so high, they want to try to reach the gods as close as possible. So they build these monumental pyramids, and that's what he's doing here. He's trying to get more closer to the universe. Now, he is holding a wand, which symbolizes again the journey that you need to take. Um, the lamp can only, shed some light a little bit as he proceeds forward, which is good. It's like a slow process. And you also notice that he's really alone. These neutral colors kind of symbolizes, being alone, which is not a bad thing. You're not alone. I think I don't mean that in a bad way, or a good way, but like with the hermit, reverse. I feel like that maybe you're after you know kind of came realization about what's going on, especially the end of the year, you're trying to surround yourself with a lot of friends and family, like a distraction, so what, but it's really distracting you from really discovering like more about yourself, your true potential. Like you have the path, it's set, you know what you need to do, but you kind of need to go about it alone. And you're definitely thinking about, oh, I'm going to keep my friends close to me, social media, things like that. um I think you need to take some like days of silence. And one thing I've actually recommended to some people was like um uh creating a me day, right? Or a nothing day. And then what a nothing day means is that the day prior, you already got stuff planned out. Like you already purchased your things, you paid your bills. Therefore, if the next day, if you were to call in sick, you don't have to worry about stuff, right? That day will be the nothing day. You do absolutely nothing. You turn off your phone, you turn off I wouldn't say turn off your internet, but when I say turn off your phone, like don't accept any phone calls, no messages, no notifications. Find yourself, right? And that's the importance of the hermit. To find yourself, and when you do find yourself in that, that nothingness, um, you know, you're not going to hear anything around you, and that's good, because then you can finally listen to what? To yourself. We always say that to ourselves. We say, "Oh, I need to listen to my feelings. I need to listen to this." But how can we really do that with all this crap going on? Oh, these new pictures coming through with Facebook. Oh God, what's going on with the news and politics and stuff like that? Or what's going on with my job, the bills, da 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 da. You need a nothing day, and the nothing day needs to be a complete silence. Even if you can try to keep yourself not from talking, to where you only talk to yourself with your spirit, then at that point you're going to start to kind of feel a little more secure. You probably might feel um, more direction, and probably more groundness as well. Then this chariot and this knight of fire will definitely be on its way, and this knight of swords will then be reversed, because maybe sometimes creativity, especially with the knights of swords being reversed, the creativeness may be a little bit lacking. Maybe you might come into some creativity blocks and things like that. Especially the fact that we have some sorrow going on here, alongside with the wands, and the sword and the wands, which is also known as air and fire. You have the air trying to blow out the fire, and that can easily distinguish the flame. So yeah, my this is at least my recommendation to you, and I hope this was really helpful in terms of what you need to start doing, at least with this new year coming around. Schedule nothing days each week at least, or maybe every other week, because and during those times, you can figure out yourself in terms of what you want to do on those nothing days. Find a way to be creative, painting, or learning a new skill, language, or something. It doesn't necessarily have to be like work related skill. Something that you haven't done in a long while, to where, look, watch what's going to happen here. I'm pushing all this crap away to where we can get this sun card become right again, to where you can become that child again, that childlike spark of happiness. And you don't have, and you can feel that vulnerableness, um about not being vulnerable in this, but just like, carefree kind of thing, right? Like, I'm not saying, start stripping naked and start running up down the streets naked, because at that point you're definitely going to be alone in jail. But no, but like, no, find that nothing day. That's what you're really going to need, and that's really more important than your love life, I think. And especially when it comes to this, when you find this child spirit within you, love will come your way. Let's get some quick, just like maybe 2 answer cards here real quick, and I'm gonna move on to Paloma. You've been patiently waiting. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, a couple of answer cards would be really nice here. Yeah, you need some sleep and death. So, have you been having sleepless nights? Because that's what this sword, this Knight of Swords is about. And I think it's saying um, like, and because the death card is actually kind of, people kind of get scared when they see that death card, which really means actually kind of like, coming to an end with new beginnings, things like that. But I feel like that with this card here, whatever this issue's been happening, you've been losing sleep with it. Stop that. That's what that's kind of how I'm getting it. I mean, I could easily say, oh yeah, the death card, all this is going to come to an end. But I think honestly, these two right here are complementing each other, which is funny, because I usually draw 3 cards, but I only draw 2, and it's saying this whole sleepless nights stuff, these fears, just stop that. There's no need to be in fear. You have your path set, and when you get that nothing day, you're going to be fine. And then again, you're going to turn that sun card around. So yeah, drink some teas. If not a tea type of person, like hot water, stuff like that. Like, usually there's and this is just like, basic stuff I've learned on the internet. Like, there's even this really cool smart pillow that pushes I think it was hot air, or is it cold air? Cold air into your pillow to promote sleep, and hot air into the pillow to promote wakenness. So yeah, yeah, I'm very happy, Mariana. I'm glad this was helpful. and that this experience actually, was fun for you too. Because like, I'm an aspiring tarot reader. I love to. I want to be able to work things instead of having people tell me the question. That's the easy way. I'm a hard worker. I like to work hard, even though in this world um, we try to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? We try to kind of, automate things. But yeah. Oh right. This was cool. Okay, so let me pull up open recent queue. All right, so we got. All right, Paloma and then Champagne. So Paloma, welcome back. And actually, before I start with you, Paloma, Champagne, you were there earlier. Before I had to switch over. Um, I was just curious if you were able to hear my last reading that I gave you when you first came in. I was just kind of curious. I want to make sure you did, but we'll get to you in just a second. So yeah, Paloma, welcome back. Okay, so Paloma, I feel like this is a song. Okay, yeah, let's get this energy neutralized a little bit here. So I got my clear quartz. Oh, okay, Champagne. Well, I think I might have a recording on it. So maybe if you can like um, shoot me a message in YouTube, I can send you a copy of that video. But we'll definitely do another one for you. Okay. Okay. Because it was actually very interesting for you, Champagne. I was actually kind of doing like a really yeah. There you go. Actually, did a really cool a reading for you about the new year coming around, and um, it had something to do about coming up with new ideas. Um, you're looking for new ideas, I think, in for the new year, and I even gave you a number 9 as your daily number. So anyway, Paloma, all right, universe, okay, let's get in tune. All right, Paloma. So you've been with me before, so we're gonna do this one more time. So I just want you to close your eyes and relax, get into that state of harmony, peace. All right. Now you are now at the lake. The lake is so calm, peaceful. It's mirroring everything in life. That's that galaxy. And then you have that pebble in your hand. Go ahead and take that pebble, throw it into the lake, and watch those ripples come out. Oh, I just got tickled. I think Paloma, did you like grab like a whole like a handful of pebbles? You're like, I'm wanting this, and you kind of throw it in there, and it's making tons of little ripples. I feel like that you probably threw more than one rock in there, and that's perfectly fine. As long as you have fun with the experience, I'm all cool with that. All right. Let's see here. I'm feeling the energy coming through. All right, let's see which one's going to work for you. Get this keyboard out of my way here real quick. I just heard a ringing in my right ear, or my left ear, so I'm going to go with the angel cards on this one. All right. Add some chaos to my cards, because what do I always say? In order to have order, we need chaos. All right. You know what? I'm going to do a couple of these kind of... Sometimes good to kind of like this too, because sometimes the universe will make you pop a card out, and it's a good way to start. Ooh. King of Pentacles, upside down. I wonder what that means. All right, so I'm gonna cut this card here real quick. Okay, so we have the King of Earth, the Empress, and the Ace of Fire. So, yeah, the King of Earth is about having everything that you need. Um, you might have heard it from the last one I said, the King of Earth. I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before that, but the King of Earth, it's again about, in general, he's about having everything that he needs, right? That he has, he didn't have to work for anything to get what he needs. Like usually that's kind of like with the Ten of Pentacles, but in this case, he just has everything. It's more than just saying um, oh yeah, I'm going to get everything kind of thing. This is more like realizing that you have everything, right? So I'm trying to find the card to kind of help me. Let's see here, Pentacles. Pentacles. There you are, King of Pentacles. All right. So, and this is what the story is based on, right? So it's just realizing that you do have everything. Everything is there for you. But with it reversed, it could definitely mean something else. Now, the Empress. The Empress is number 3 in the deck, which is right after the Magician. And what he's all about is, or what she's all about actually, is that, let's see here. I think this is the one. Nope. Where are you, my Empress? There she is. Um, she's about fertility, emotions, providing a type of you know forgiveness, happiness, and also bringing in creation, because this might sound sexist as I say this, but as a woman you do create life, right? I mean, it's a known fact, you do create life, and that's, what the woman's body is just built for. You are able to create life with babies, and that's what the Queen is about, the Empress is about. Sorry, I have this chat coming through. But with this right here being reverse, maybe you feel that your creativity might be a little bit shot. For example, like maybe I'm not exactly remember what I read for you last time, but with this right here, especially with the Ace of Fire, that the Ace of Fire is like the Ace of Wands. Um, there's definitely a new journey that you're about to embark here, which is kind of interesting. The fact that again we are at a new year, and everybody's really kind of curious, like what's going to behold for my new year and stuff like that. And I've got a couple of aces in doing some practice readings of my own, but I feel that again, and this is kind of maybe the little bit rolling theme here, but I'm really trying to keep my intuition open here, make sure that I'm not reading this incorrectly, but we have a feeling here that maybe you're thinking that you don't have everything, or like maybe you're feeling like something's missing in your life, like really major actually. Like it's not like like the other cups where the guy's walking away because he feels like something's missing in his life, which I think is like the Eight of Cups or something like that, or the Seven of Cups. But the King of Fire, it's really about, like, at least my intuition is telling me that you're probably feeling something is lacking, you know. Um, and it's like this one thing that you feel is maybe life changing, and then with that, the Empress, you're not able to create based off this emptiness, but you do have like this opportunity coming around which might fix this. But let's get some more cards here. I already went and cut the deck here. Let's get some more cards to see what this question is about. Okay, again with the Earth card. So in general with Earth, and you actually got 3 major arcana cards, which is actually pretty interesting too. The Earth card again is about earthly possessions, right? Money or job opportunities, things like that, or just things in general. Now the 5 of Earth, which is the Five of Pentacles. Let me pull that picture up here real quick. The Five of Pentacles is about, there it is. The Five of Pentacles, in relation to the Rider-Waite deck, oh, this makes a lot more sense. I feel that this kind of hit me really fast. Oh, okay, let me finish what I'm saying. The Five of Pentacles is about a loss, right? You probably lost something valuable to you. And then because we have in the picture here over at the left, we have the person, you know, two people homeless, looking like they're homeless, but the reason why they're homeless is because they lost it all. You have a woman holding onto her garments, trying to stay warm in the snow, while the other person's like, you know, walking with a broken limb. And behind that person, these people, is sort of like a church or a house, and they're just kind of walking away, you know, minding their own business, and they're not turning to it for warmth or help. So usually this means that, you know, out of a great loss, you're just kind of making it on your own. You're not looking for help. And this kind of, I think, kind of goes in hand with this King of Pentacles. You may have lost something, you know, something important to you. Not necessarily love, not necessarily relationship, because it's not really, there's no cups here. I'm not seeing anything in here in terms of relationship. But I am seeing here that you might have suffered a pretty decent loss throughout this year, perhaps. And I'm just kind of guessing it's about the year because we are at a new year. But let's just put that aside for a second. You are suffering from a great loss, and you're maybe kind of like not like ego, but you're just like not really looking for help because you want to try to make it on your own. And because of that loss, you're really feeling that emptiness here. You know, despite the fact that you're getting some job opportunities, or not job opportunities, but what you call it, an opportunity to kind of, you know, pursue, is something that you're pretty passionate about, and that's what fire is about: passion, or taking on a journey for that matter. But then we also have this life experience, which is also known as the Tower. The Tower can actually kind of, you know, look very traumatic in the major arcana. Like for example, is that the card that I'm missing here? Nope, here it is. So we have like this. We have these people in sorrow, you know, because the tower was so tall that it just kind of crumbled. And we see here, like at the bottom, there's blue, like streams of water in the mountains, which is symbolizing your emotions falling forward, surrounded by black sky and night sky and fire everywhere. And these people just kind of falling to their death and things like that. But it can also mean just like a super drastic change, you know. And because of this right here, I think is actually because you know, what you're experiencing here, it is making a huge change for yourself. So and I feel that because the fact that, you know, again, you're not seeking help in whatever this loss is, you feel that it has made you weak. And especially if you do look for help, you feel that it's probably making you weak if you do ask for help. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. To me, you know, what that says, it kind of tells me that you're probably like a strong person. You know, like you're very determined, especially on your own. Like if something comes around, you just kind of like batten down the hatches and you try to get that crap done, and then then you can finally say to yourself, yeah, I actually did that myself, and I'm really happy about that. You like that self-satisfaction. So I think your question is, how can you obtain this thing that you've lost? Because I think whatever this is right here might be the answer to this Ace of Fire. So I just cut the deck, and if I'm wrong on this one, please let me know, and then we could try to figure this out. Okay, so we have the Eight of Air, the Emperor, and Justice. So the Eight of Air, that is actually in relation to the Eight of Swords, which is showing a woman who is kind of bound by some white garments. And where is it? There it is. Now the thing is that she's struggling, right? In this picture, she's surrounded by these swords, and she's kind of standing on top of her emotions, and she needs to figure out a way to get out of this. And she's, you know, like the story, sort of like the context of the story in my head is that if she doesn't get out of this, the tides are going to come in and sweep her away, right? So she needs to figure this out. Um, so it's a definite difficult time that this person's going through. Now you actually have this in reverse, so it's definitely difficult, but it's not as bad as you think it is. Um, I'm trying to figure out what this Emperor means in this Justice card about. Like, I think with this Emperor card, my feelings are kind of pointing a little bit towards a relationship. I'm not exactly sure what this relationship's about because I'm not seeing any cups here, but there's definitely a person of interest that's bringing stability. And I say that's because I'm seeing a man here, even though the Emperor really means about stability and fatherly figure and stuff like that, and just being a really great leader, especially with logic and emotion, things like that. I feel like there's a person in your life that's coming around, or at least that you may know of, that's kind of sparking this fire, this Ace of Fire. And there's like it's funny how these are kind of like, side by side here. This person is probably this opportunity. Not really. And it's kind of hard saying opportunity because again, fire can be a passion for somebody or a passion for a particular thing, but it's igniting, right? And I think this is somebody that you already know of. And but I think with this right here, this justice, this could mean a couple things. One, um, he is either balanced, or I feel that maybe you're struggling to see if it's really fair to pursue whatever this person is, because of the fact that you're struggling. But it's saying here that this struggle is really not as bad as you think it is. You might have felt like it's a hard suffer, but really it's not that bad of a struggle. This person is here to help you. And I think you're trying to weigh out the possibilities with this justice card. As should I be with this person? Should I not be with this person? Because this person, I believe, I'm not sure if it's an exact attraction, but it definitely has some type of interest in you to a point where it's starting this passion within you, or at least this opportunity of passion. And with this justice card here, you're trying to see if this is fair in your life. Am I hitting it, Paloma, or am I missing it? All right. Can anybody still hear me? Just want to make sure that I'm still there online. Well, Paloma, I hope you're still there with me. For some reason, YouTube doesn't tell me if the participants are there or not. Thank you, Champagne, for confirming that. So I really appreciate that. So, Paloma, I see here, actually, these, I wanted these to be answer cards here. There we go. Yeah. So it's funny that I'm saying this, that this person might be an interest in your life, because we have the Knight of Fire here. The Knight, again, it's a noble person, right? About action and things like that. But it also happens to be a male figure here. And we're talking about this Emperor. And this person is about your passions. You're going to charge forward with those passions. And we have a direct diagonal here, which is actually very interesting too. Their signs are everywhere. I think whoever this person is, and you have to let me know if I'm right or wrong in this one. I'm not, but this is what my intuition is saying, that um, whoever this person is, it's gonna really help you feel more at ease. You have the Risk card, which is also known as the Death card, and whatever these issues that are surrounding you with this emptiness, that's going to come to an end. And then you have the star card, where the star is about and let me show you a picture of this one, because this is actually very important about the star card. Here we go. The sound card, or the sound card, the star card is about you have a naked woman here pouring emotions into a lake, as well as on the ground, right? And then we see on the ground area that she's pouring the water, and it's trickling out to 5 different paths, and these paths are like your emotions, or like the senses, the 5 senses within yourself. And you need to realize that, at least with this 9 of fire, bring some things to, to an end of what you're fearing, that this star card is pretty much saying like it's going to like maybe restore hope within you. And the reason I say hope and faith, because you notice in the star card, her foot's like right above the water. It's almost like, that story we hear about God walking on water, right? So like, you have to have faith in order to walk on water, to go out to him. But we're showing that here with the female who's pouring her water, and especially the fact that she's on land and water. So keep in touch with your emotions, have faith in your emotions, but also stay grounded at the same time. We have the knee on the ground, sort of like, if you're really in a struggle, you need to take a knee and think about that situation, right? And that's kind of what she's doing there. But she's putting her faith that her foot's not going to like fall into that water. So have a little bit more faith in your emotions while staying grounded as well on earth. So I hope that was your question there, in terms of, because I think your question was this emptiness that you're feeling here at the end, especially at the end of the universe, the end of the year. You're trying to figure out how to fill in that emptiness. There's a definite somebody there, and you want to, you're trying to figure out like if this is the right thing for you. And I think it is. I think, whoever this person is, I wouldn't say it's like a relationship. I'm not seeing anything in here in terms of cups and emotions, or a newfound love. But whatever this is, it's going to be helpful. Whoever this person is, it's going to be helpful. It's going to help you keep grounded. It's going to be like a fatherly figure to kind of help you get your what you call it, your emotions and whatever you have back in order, like whatever you felt like you lost, back in order. All right, Paloma, I hope that was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed that. I haven't heard from you, so I hope there was no problems with that, but hopefully you'll come back on to the recording here. All right, so Champagne, I'm going to do your reading here real quick, and then I'm going to take a quick little break, and I'll be able to continue on. All right, so let me go ahead and put these back here. So Champagne, yeah, when I actually did yours before I got disconnected there, cool. Yeah, the cards that you had in the previous one, I think it was like reverse Pentacles, as well as something else like the reverse Queen of Pentacles. And it was just talking about, maybe because it is again the new year. I feel like that's a lot of vibes that's gonna be coming in. No, it's okay if you missed it. I mean, like I said, you can look back on the recording. It was a really interesting one, and I did a basic 4-card spread for you, just kind of outlining, what you're probably thinking about, or the day, or at least what the universe wants to tell you about. That, realize that, you have things there for you. You might feel that loss, or not loss, but maybe that emptiness, thinking that you haven't really accomplished anything. But if you take on a new perspective, because you had the Hangman, if you take on a new perspective, on something, and uh, you also have the magician card, I think, too. If you take on a new perspective of something, you'll be able to actually help see how to complete these goals, because the magician in general is about creativity. So just kind of show you here real quick. Where is he? That's the magician card. Um, yeah, roller coasters are pretty bad, or not bad, but it can definitely be an emotional roller coaster, I'm sure. And that's what you actually had the first time. It was the magician card, and the magician card, he's pointing to the universe and to the ground. And you also notice that outlaid out in front of him is all the suits, right? The cups, the pentacles, the sword, and the wands. And we have life like flourishing around him with the infinity symbol above his head. So the whole purpose of the magician is about creating the impossible of what we need in order to conjure the thought. Because, you know, if we need to think about something, we need to have something created in order to have us start being creative. It's a lot saying in that, but the magician in general, at least what the story is about, is that this person, or this being, right, is creating the thing that you need in order to start working on it, right? And then after that is the what you call it, the high priestess, who is like the intuition, right? She helps kind of brings that thought into fruition, to where it then goes to number 3, which is the empress. The empress is about creativity, and that's, I'm just kind of naming off the numbers in the arcana, in the major arcana card. But that's what the magician is about. That's kind of what the story was about when I last read to you. But so I'm gonna go ahead and repeat the process to kind of help read your to help read your question. Now, you might feel waves of emotion to where you need to respond. You don't need to respond to everything, because again, I try not to want to be biased with these readings. I definitely want the intuition to come forward. If you do want to share something about what I'm talking about to kind of help bring some maybe some approval in terms of what I'm talking about, you're definitely more than welcome. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy this. Just neutralizing some of the energy from the last reading here. Okay, so as I mentioned to Paloma, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take that breath, deep breath. A nice deep one, because you're going to feel those tingles. Yeah, we definitely have a habit of wearing our heart on our sleeve and pouring out emotions, and that's one thing that I educated myself when it comes to, like, working with tarot readers, especially when it comes to psychics. There's a thing out there called cold reading. You just have to be really careful about that. Your intuition will tell you if this person is right for you, if you're talking about certain things. Follow your emotions and your intuition if it's right to kind of pour out things. So there's a saying, loose lips sink ships. And if you talk to a psychic who's obviously asking for money, which I don't like that idea. I like the fact that if you are seeking help, that should be free. Because if you put money into these things, you're paying for a service of tarot cards. Somebody read your tarot cards. I feel that it skews the experience, because you get hesitant, about how much you want to put into that. They'll say, "Oh, it's $100 for the reading," and something like that, and you're like, "Wow, $100? Okay, here you go." And then you start concentrating on that more than the actual reading itself. So, all right, so shake out the energy out of your hands. Take that deep breath. All right. Hi, Hila. You'd like to sign up for a reading? Go ahead and use the sheet in the description to add your name to the sheet, and we'll definitely get to you. And welcome. And I hope you enjoy this this reading that we're doing for Champagne. Okay, Champagne, close your eyes and just listen to my voice. You are standing at the foot of the lake. The lake is still, it's a mirror like reflection of all the life that's around it, the scenery, the sky, the mountain, trees, everything. And something's telling me that maybe you have a toe in the water. You know, like uh, the water is maybe a little cold, but you don't mind the coolness on your toes and your feet. So you're just kind of keeping in touch with your emotions, which I think is great. Now, I want you to look in your hand. In your hand is a rock. That rock is the question that you want to ask. Throw the rock into the lake and watch those ripples expand out. And that's your question being thrown to the universe. And the universe's energy is now expanding to reach that question to me. My senses are feeling that you're a very delicate person. This is before I even touch these cards here. I feel like you're a very delicate person. Um, and I say that because again, I've never really said this to anybody about putting the toe in the water or the feet in the water. I just visualize you like there's like some small pebbles under the feet, which feels really nice. You know, it's like a massage almost, but you're just kind of like, you know, letting the water kind of brush up on your toes a little bit, and it's kind of, you know, brings like a little playfulness to you, and a very tranquil state of mind and motion. And I feel that's, you know, a really good sign, you know, that of, you know, of your characteristics and your qualities of how you like to treat your life, and that's really good. So okay, now okay, we're gonna do the regular Raider White deck actually. It was kind of weird. This one actually kind of felt it was in between the two. I couldn't make a decision, and then I felt an extra spark on this one, so I'm gonna go with this one. So add some chaos to this. So Hayla, I just wanted to welcome you. I didn't mean to kind of make it short, but I hope you noticed that I like to work for my questions. That's why I ask that you don't type your questions in the chat, because I like to try to figure them out. I want the universe to work with me, and I want to work for you because I'm a hard worker. All right. I also put a survey in the description. Um, yeah, we definitely all know chaos. For those of you who are still with me, there is a survey in the description. So like after your experience, you're more than welcome to stay, but feel free to add that survey because, you know, I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if you heard this or not, but there was a TED talk out there about how education could be possibly killing creativity. And yep, I got it, Hala. I got your name in the list. Perfect, thank you. Um, and the problem is that as kids, there's a story actually, and I know we're taking up time here, but I just want this is really important for everybody to know because it's like a little girl was drawing something on a board, and the teacher asked that little girl. She asked her like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And the teacher asked her or told her, "It's like, well, how can you do that? Nobody knows what God looks like." And the little girl says, "Well, you will now in a few minutes." I think that's really great. And the importance of that story is that um, because, you know, of a little girl, you know, the adolescents, there's such an innocence to it that they don't really care if they're right or wrong. But then as we get older, we tend to kind of figure out what's more on the right side instead of the wrong, and we try to perfect ourselves. And there's no perfecting humankind. So with that said, and the moral of this, um, yes, Hala, you're definitely after champagne. But the moral of the story is that, you know, I like to learn from my mistakes. I like to I like to. That's why I have the survey, because I want to try to make my experience as best as possible. I actually work in a tech company where I do webinars, and I always take surveys from them too. And I always want to make these experiences um, as as relatable as possible. So I really hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you really understand as to why. It may sound a little corporate how you fill in a survey, but I just take that as feedback. That way, you know, I know what people are saying. How I can make this better for others instead of just believing what it is. Because if you'll notice that when it comes to psychic readers and things like that, they probably won't take your feedback very well. Like you'll tell them, yeah, I didn't really like that reading at all. And then, you probably give them advice, then the psychic reader is probably just gonna look at you snarkily and say like, well, you can leave then, but that'll be $100. And that, I think that's lame. So, all right, Champagne. All right. So I still felt that pebble. You're all good. All right, so let's cut this deck and let's get this reading underway, shall we? All right. So the Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles. Now the story behind this is about, you see a man who is standing there, and he's sort of like looking at the fruits of his work. So let me pull up this picture to help it get you a better idea of what this looks like. So he's done all this work, and we know that he's a hard worker because he's standing out there in the field with this rake of some sort, and he worked to get this plant with pentacles. So this is like a symbolization of reaping the benefits of what you worked hard for, and the fact that now that you have this created, that this person now has all this work done, he can now make some long-term goals. Like, what can he do with this newfound income? And when I say income, it could be like food, money, or whatever type of earthly source. Now the next one you have is the wands. Now the wands is another interesting thing too. Pull that up real quick. And I think it's this one, the Two of Wands. Now the Two of Wands, as we see in this picture, because it is reversed, the Two of Wands, it's about a man who's kind of looking out along the water. He's sitting on top of his house or like a castle of some sort. One wand is bolted down on the wall, while the other one is actually being held in his hand, while he also holds the world in his hands. So it's almost like saying that he's kind of like the world is his oyster, right? But the thing is, two is like a duality. Two is about balance, and it's also about making decisions. He's not making that decision just yet to proceed forward. He does see it, but he's not stepping through those two wands to get where he wants to go, to where he can definitely take that world in his hand, where the world is like everything that he knows, everything that he wants. So with this reversed, and it's going to take a few more cards to really get this, but usually this kind of, it may seem that you might be not really ready for that kind of adventure. Like this person is ready for it, but he's just not taking it. But if it's reversed, it could mean a little bit that he's probably not just ready just yet to take on to that adventure, or it could be only mean something else. But it'll really definitely be told as we draw more cards. And then we have the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is like, the page in general actually is like a kid who's been born in a either a royal family or a rich family, but this kid is going to be growing up to learn how to serve his king. By that, he's going to work hard. He's going to learn like a student. He's also going to be very creative because he has to come up with ways to solve problems. Then he becomes a squire, and then he becomes a knight. Now, with this Page of Cups, this is sort of like being creative with your emotions. Also, kind of learning what's ahead of you with your emotions too. We see him actually standing in front of water, right? And Let's see here, cups. So we see him here just kind of looking at the cup with the fish in it. So he's just kind of sheepishly, thinking like, what can I really do with this newfound knowledge? What can I do with this desire that I have, right? So he needs to figure this out. And then we also see the waves in the back that, there's a lot of emotions going on, but there's one in particular that he's going to be working on, and that's that fish inside that cup. Now these two are reversed, so even though the page is about wanting to know how to proceed forward and being creative about it, we're probably having a type of uncertainty with this one as well. Like these two are kind of like go hand in hand almost. Now elemental wise, Pentacles is earth, Wands is fire, and Page is water. Or excuse me, Cups is water. So if we adding earth or like twigs to a fire, that's gonna make it combust more, right? And fire to water is not really a good thing. If it was actually reversed, you're adding water to a fire, you'll put out the fire. But now that's fire coming to a water, it's gonna boil it, right? And it's gonna become steamy. Now, and that's it can be good or bad depending on what again the reading is. But already I'm seeing here in terms of you might have some long-term goals set in your path already, like in your view, but you're not feeling that you're ready to pass through just yet. So let's get some more cards here. Yeah. So the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords, the Knight in general is about taking action on something, but the Knight is also about where's that card at? The Knight is also about taking charge, but he's also a noble person, like, right? He's strong, he's very confident and stuff like that. And especially with a sword, the sword is like a representation of air. So we have a lot of clouds happening in the background. So it's like I'm feeling from here it's either usually it's about communication, but it's also about creativity as well. And the reason why I say creativity with the sword, because if you take a sword and you chop off like pieces of wood from a log using a sword, you create something out of that, right? Like a statue. So we see him like really going full force in that picture, against the winds, and the winds are against him, but he's still proceeding forward and he's challenging forward, right? With that creativity, like he's taking that action into hand. But being reversed, I feel that, again, it kind of goes in relation to with this wands here, that there's maybe like a hesitation of some sort of proceeding forward, with this goal that you have. And then we have the King of Cups. Now the King of Cups is about balance. Let's see here, Cups. Here we go. The King of Cups is about balance. He is, on this cement-like chair, but it happens to be floating on top of water, which is almost impossible. But as the King of Cups, he's making it happen. He's also dressed in blue, which is also a sign of emotion. Holding onto the cups, and he's just not looking like he's caring about the fact that he's on like this sinkable ship that can definitely go underwater, but he knows he's balanced. He knows he can leave these emotions. He can take control of these emotions and these desires, or whatever the case may be about the cups to you. But with it reversed here, along with the Knight of Swords, adding wind to water, that can cause some storms, right? And I think there's like a storm of emotions where it's not really for the good, but more like about finding that balance. We're seeing a lot of reversed here. And I think what your question is coming to, and I'll get to the strength card in just a second, is about, what can you do about these long-term goals that you have? I think your question is about, you know, like you have this idea for a long-term goal, you've worked hard for it, but are you really ready to move forward with these goals? Because the strength card here is about, you know, we see this person here sitting with a lion, right? Um, let's see here. Major Arcana. There we go. We have this strength card. Now, we have this lion kind of like licking this woman here, and she's taming this lion. She's befriending with it, not because she's super strength, strong like an Amazon woman. Amazon. No, just kidding. But it's more like she's taming it with her character, right? The character can be, um, the strength card can be about your character in terms of how strong you are with your inside of you, right? I'm having kind of a tough time explaining this, but um, strength card is really about having power, sort of like the sticks and stones don't break my bones. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never harm me. That's the kind of strength that you have. That you have this inner strength within you, right? To not, to be strong about yourself. And it's not about having muscles. It's about that inner will. Now, with this, in reverse, the strength, I feel that this path that you want to take on, again, it's about it's uncertainty that we're having here. You feel that it might not be a stable thing to do. You feel that you're probably out of your element, that you're not coming up with any good ideas about it. I'm gonna put you on a really brief hold real quick, and I'll be right back with you. I just have to get to something. Thank you very much for your patience. Hi, Champagne. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to end this early because I need to get tend to something. So, if you want to hit me up on the YouTube chat, send me a message, and I'll be happy to continue this forward for you, and also talk further about your previous reading. Hayla, I do apologize again. If you want to send me a quick message, we could definitely set up something to where we can do a reading as well. I do apologize for the short time, but if I do have time later on today, just go ahead and subscribe and watch for me to come back on, and I'll definitely get back to you. I really appreciate all your understanding